Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome to my hobby blog. Today we are back with a review for the first time in a while, in about a week or so. And today I am talking about a film that was heavily recommended to me by the great Daisuke Beppu, who is a fellow YouTuber on here. He's one of my favorites to watch. He has so many videos that are so insightful and full of wisdom, and he always brings a fresh perspective of a movie that I love. Whether it's going through the films of John Carpenter, Edward Yang, Akira Kurosawa, all of them. So it was recently that I was going through, I think it was about November, I was looking for new movies that I had never seen by directors that I also haven't ever seen. And I asked Daisuke what he thought, and he said, this film. And I am talking about today Edward Yang's 2000 film, masterpiece film, Yi Yi. This movie it took me a while to get into. I would say the first hour, I was slowly getting into it. I really liked the characters. I really enjoyed just the drama that was surrounding all of these storylines. And it wasn't until about an hour and 15 minutes that I was just enamored all the way through the film. And again, this is my first Edward Yang movie. He is regarded as one of the top Taiwanese directors. And he unfortunately died soon after, before reaching the age of 60, I believe, due to colon cancer. So there's only just a few films by him that we were treated to. And some other ones that he's done is Taipei Story, which is one of the World Cinema Project box set films that Criterion put out, that Martin Scorsese and his World Film Foundation kind of curates. And there's also A Brighter Summer Day, which is a 4-hour film. This is just 3 hours. And I've heard that one is even better. And that was one that Daisuke said to wait until watching this to see how I feel, and then to dive into Brighter Summer Day. So, with all that said, I think I am definitely going into this director more. I absolutely loved this movie by the end of it. I loved the cast, but also the cinematography was just really, really good. It was very simple, because someone who I've been getting into as I go through the different Criterion releases is Wong Kar-wai, or Wong Kar-wai. Either pronunciation works, I believe. And I was kind of comparing the cinematography between these two directors, because where Wong Kar-wai is very showy, and not in a negative sense, but he's a lot more dynamic. There's a lot more movement in the camera work. And I think in the film, as tears go by, where we have those two lovers who are, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember in that movie, his first film, the cinematography was just mind-blowing throughout. And in the film Chungking Express is the same case. And the first movie I saw by Wong Kar-wai, Fallen Angels, I saw years ago when I first entered school. That movie's cinematography was just out of this world. And so comparing Wong Kar-wai to Edward Yang, the entire time I was like, this is a more subtle version of Wong Kar-wai's camera work, because in this one, it's framed almost perfectly through every single shot. And the camera, for the most part, is in one location, and it tracks through the scene. And they use a lot of, dolly work, but it was just really interesting to view these two filmmakers together, because they are both in the same area of the world. And the essay that was attached with this release, just to show you guys what the packaging looks like, here's the essays and the disc. And this essay written by Kent Jones, who I know is a pretty major academic who contributes to Taiwanese and Hong Kong film releases by Criterion. He discusses both of these filmmakers in the same vein and discusses the similarities between them and other great Taiwanese filmmakers. But let me talk a little bit about what the story is, because this is a very character-driven movie. It is one that each character has their moments to shine. And so what this movie is about is a family who consists of the two parents, mom and dad, and two kids, one a high school girl and the other a young son. And we begin off with a wedding between the uncle, the brother of the father, and a pregnant woman getting married. And there's a lot of drama from that already. We get a past lover of his wailing to the grandmother of the family. I believe it's the wife's mother is the grandmother. And she later that night falls and goes into a coma. And so from there we get a very introspective film. We see the father, whose pronunciation of his name I don't know, but I'm going to call him NJ. He is played by Nianshen Wu. Apparently he never really acted before this. He was more of a scriptwriter and a director, but his story is just phenomenal. Let me list off the rest of the cast real quick, and then I can talk about the amazing storylines that each of these characters have. The mother is Men Men, who is played by Elaine Jin, who is actually a regular of Edward Yang's. She's on the cover for Criterion's release, A Brighter Summer... No, not Brighter Summer Day. No, she's in Wong Kar-wai's film, In the Mood for Love. So that's how I remembered her. The sister or the daughter is named Ting Ting, played by Kelly Lee, who is just phenomenal throughout this entire movie. I really liked her storyline of, love and all that. And then the young 8-year-old son, Yang Yang, who is played by Jonathan Chang, who I don't think he did any more Edward Yang movies, because Edward Yang did die recently after this film. But from what I have just heard from discussions around this director, is that this actor went on to become a pretty major actor in the Taiwanese sphere. And so all of them are just amazing. The grandmother character, she's just called grandmother. She doesn't have a name according to the casting or the cast list. She is played by Wu Yun Tang. I believe I said that correctly. And she is very... she's the through line of this movie, because the son is dealing with girl bullies the entire movie. They take his shoes, they throw them. He gets revenge on them by throwing a water balloon at them, but misses and hits the teacher that has been disciplining him the entire movie for things that he did not do. And then the daughter is, again, exploring what love is. She's 13, I believe. And throughout this movie, she is kind of the mediary of a, I guess, young love relationship between a character named Piggy, I believe, or Fatty. It's Fatty, yeah. Between Fatty and her friend, and they break up about halfway through the movie, and then they fall in love and eventually break up. And so, also, before I go on with the daughter, um, the father is also juggling the complexities of business because he is, I'm not really sure what it is, but he's like a marketing guy where they're trying to buy up names of brands in order to put it on their products. And so he goes to Japan at one point for a week to discuss, a business deal, and he gets back in contact with a young love that he had back in high school, and then they graduated and he just disappeared. And that entire storyline is very effective too, along with all the other ones. And then the mother, who again is played by Elaine Zhen, she kind of disappears and goes to a Buddhist retreat, which I wish we got a lot more of. I wish we got more of the mother character. That was the one tiny nitpick I had, is how lacking, I guess, of one time that we had with her, because in the essay that David Pent, what's his name? Kent Jones, that's his name. I couldn't find the supplement title. The essay by him kind of explains that she was a really big actress at this time, and that Edward Yang just didn't think they would be able to star her in this movie. But apparently she was able to film for a short time, and that's kind of why she went off to a Buddhist temple. And so it kind of works with the movie, but I do wish we got a little bit more with her. But this movie is just really just amazing because while all these different storylines are happening with our characters, we have this one through line, which is the grandmother being in a coma. And early in the movie, we get the mother character holding her son, like in her lap. And she says, oh, we need to talk to, grandmother so that her brain and senses are being stimulated. And maybe she'll wake up sooner if, each one of us talk to her. So throughout the movie, we get all these different characters in this family going to sit down with the grandmother and talking to her about whatever issues they're dealing with, worries. I think my favorite one is when the daughter, Ting Ting, talks to the grandmother and kind of not explains, but questions her about the unfairness of falling in love and then falling out of love or being rejected and all these different things. And I absolutely loved all these storylines. Again, for the first hour, it took a bit. It was good. It was really borderline great, but it was a lot of setup for the next 2 hours and how effective it was to be with these characters and to experience life with them. And Edward Yang, because in this release, in this essay book, they package it with production notes by Edward Yang around the time when this movie came out. And he discusses how originally he wanted to make a movie that was documenting someone's life from birth all the way to the death of old age. And he does this. He does this with this family. Instead of having it be one person, which would be a very ambitious movie, he instead has a prepubescent son who explores that chapter of life. Then he has a coming-of-age daughter who explores that phase of life of, first love and explorations of emotional attachment to other people in regards to, crushes and all that. He then deals with being a parent through the father's eyes and having to reflect on his childhood and his early adult life and try and figure out, did I go wrong here? Did I choose the right options or the path? Because his first love, as they keep calling her throughout the movie, she is still hung up on him after 30 years or so of being separated. And he said he moved on, just did not, he just moved on with his life. And he has his own family now. She's married to someone from Chicago, I believe is the city. And watching all this unfold between those two and the different dilemmas that they face every day in their life of whether they chose right or kind of exploring the regrets of life, it was really fascinating to watch. And the first hour is so important because that's where all the character building is, or at least the introduction of all these different characters that interweave between all these different storylines of the son, the daughter, the mother, and the father, and also the uncle to a lesser extent. And it all just comes together as a really great tapestry where each thread is a character and each one contributes a heavy part to another section or area of the film. And this movie was just really incredible. I am so thankful that this was recommended to me because this is a movie where I finished it about an hour ago at about 5 o'clock, and I posted on my Letterboxd account kind of my short review just to get it out there to rate it, and then I started writing notes during I guess that hour between starting filming for this and from after doing the review all the way to filming this. So it was really during that entire hour while I was writing just down thoughts and whatever, I was never distracted. I was able to really sit down and ruminate on all these different feelings that I had throughout this film of anger, sadness, triumph, all of these things. And there's a scene towards the end with the daughter and grandmother that is so beautiful when the grandmother makes her like a origami butterfly and gives it to her, and the daughter goes to sleep, wakes up, and finds out that the grandmother has died, and that she died around the time when the daughter left, when Ting Ting left the room, because she's been in a coma this entire film, and she finally woke up, and she spent the few minutes with her granddaughter and made her a origami butterfly, gave it to her as, I guess, a parting gift to her about, how beautiful life is. Because they have a little discussion about the beauty of life. And then she comes back and finds that the police are at the grandmother's bedroom, and they find that the time of death was about 4 hours ago or 3 hours ago. And they found her, which was about 2:30, which is when she was in there. So it's a really beautiful scene, and it's just everything built up to that moment in the movie in regards to Ting Ting's character arc. So it was a really great culmination of that. But this movie needs to be seen. It's not as I don't feel as dedicated to making everybody watch this as other movies that I've said is essential viewing, but it's very much like if you have a chance, please go watch this. This movie is really incredible. It is such a great, I guess, personal human story that is explored throughout this, as I've said many times, with the characters and the character arcs and all that. So this one was just really good. I really, really like this. There are not many movies where I just pick this up on someone's recommendation. I love it as much as this. The only other time has been like Human Condition, which is also another Daisuke recommendation to me. So far he's 2 for 2, along with Wong Kar-wai. But yeah, this movie needs to be seen. So if you haven't already, please go check this out on Criterion. It is really cheap when it's on sale. It's like $20. I think it's definitely worth the bang for your buck for this. It is 3 hours long. There's a pretty long essay in this. We get production notes. We get a whole commentary track with the amazing Tony Raines, who I haven't listened to a commentary track with him yet, but I've read his essays that have been attached to different Criterion releases, and he's probably the best Asian film critic ever. And so, yeah, this is like a film school in a box, as I think Guillermo del Toro said, or someone. But yeah, this movie's incredible. Please go watch it. Thank you all for watching. This was just such a fun time for me to discuss this and just kind of sort my thoughts about this film. So thank you all for watching, and if you didn't see my video that I posted today about my final update about my goals for this year, please go watch it. And if you're not going to watch it, I basically am going to attach my Letterboxd link from now on in the description for this, so you guys can kind of see how I'm doing with my 500 movie goal for this year. So again, thank you all for